and certainly for your time now. We really appreciate it. And we know that there are a lot of questions. We are going to, like, perfect disclaimer, we are not going to answer all those questions, I'm sure of it. However, we are interested in hearing what your questions are so that we can be proactive about communicating with you in our Falcon Flyer, in emails, and even in our Welcome to Floral book. So at this time, I do want to invite you to add questions to the Q&A. We are not going to have a live Q&A time during this portion of the meeting because of time. However, we are going to copy all of those questions, and then we are going to work to address them based on what's most time sensitive. And what seems to be the most popular questions. So we'll be sure to address them and read them all carefully. We appreciate that. Okay, so I am going to start by sharing my screen with you. And just bear with me for a moment because I need to get to our floral specific presentation. All right, see if it worked.
Well done.
All right, thanks, Mrs. Kelly. Still learning here. Okay, so let's get started with what are our classrooms for our Floral Street School students, because it sounds like a simple question. It typically is on a given year, but it's not this year. I wanted to just share with you this chart of those teachers here in Shrewsbury who are going to be teaching our Floral Street School students. So they're the lucky ones. We have a total of 31 classrooms here at Floral Street School that are going to be filled with either a remote class or with students in person. But there are a total of 36 classrooms that our students are going to be placed in, and that's because we needed to combine students from across schools who were choosing to go fully remote this year. We simply didn't have and we had a lot of families choosing remote, and we didn't have full classrooms of remote with just floral. So we needed to do some combining. The great news is students who are not getting a Floral Street School specific teacher are getting one heck of an educator because these are all really strong educators that you see on the screen right now.
Mrs. McHubry, we're getting a message that all we can see right now is your welcome screen. Can you advance to the next? Did you present, if you go in present mode for that?
I am in present mode, and I'm seeing floral classes in the chart. Are you seeing that, Gina?
I'm not.
Oh, interesting. Let me go back and see if I can trick it. How about now? Can you see the classes?
I do not.
Oh, okay. You know what I'll do? That's okay. That's all right. I will go out of, hold on. I'm going to stop sharing for a sec. I'm just going to stay not in present mode, which is not as pretty, but it will work if this is the trick. I'm not going to give up. Let's try again. Thanks for bearing with me.
I see it now.
Oh, isn't that interesting? All right. So here is that chart that shows all 36 Shrewsbury teachers who will be teaching our students this year. Thanks for letting me know that that wasn't showing, because I want you to see these names. And I want to point out a couple of names that may be unfamiliar, but they are familiar faces. In grade 2, Emily Rosenzweig is actually Emily Knapp, who she got married over the summer, so she is now Mrs. Rosenzweig. Also, Mrs. Geddes teaching remote grade 3. You may know her as one of the media teachers who teaches media classes. She has moved into a grade 3 remote classroom teaching position for this year. And then some of the other Shrewsbury educators who will be teaching classrooms include Stephanie Hallisey, whose home base is Patton, but she'll have students from across the schools. We have Christine Zambernardi, whose home base is Spring Street School, but she'll be teaching our Floral Street students in grade 4, or a class of them. Kim Dufa, who is going to be taking over for bear with me, Kathleen Barnes, who is a 4th grade teacher at Patton School. Kathleen will be coming back from maternity leave. And we welcome Susie Speed to grade 4 hybrid here at Floral Street School. And we welcome, where is she here? Megan Kelly, who is going to be teaching a remote 3rd grade class here at Floral Street School. So we have some new faces and faces from other elementary schools. We always share these 3 photos at our new family orientation that we didn't get to have this year because they are the most important people of adults anyway, of Floral Street School. These are the people you want to know. They're the ones that you probably talk to the most besides your child's teacher. So in our front office, we have Jen Umili and Linda McBride. They answer the phones and they solve every problem and answer any question you could ask for, unless it's a medical one or a health-related one, in which case you'll be talking with our school nurse, Mrs. Stavich, Kristen, who has just been phenomenal in supporting us with a safe reopening for your children. Sometimes I take Mrs. Kelly's slides, so I need to look and see if this one's mine. It is mine. I just wanted to show you 2 examples of what classrooms are looking like here at Floral Street School. You'll notice right away that the desks or tables are more, they're spaced further apart. So we're very intentional around that. If you look carefully, you'll see some colored circles on the carpet. Those are marking desk spots or table spots, just so that the students can learn how to adjust their table spot if it starts to creep during the day, and maintain that 6-foot distancing from seat to seat. You'll also see on the picture to your right, that's just one example of how a teacher is going to have students kind of keep their materials at their spot. Those red and green buckets is what she chose to do. Every teacher has their own system, but the idea is that almost everything they need is going to be right at their space. That will help to minimize the need to get up and travel around the classroom. That does not mean they won't do that or can't do that. That's just not realistic. And it's perfectly safe for them to get up and travel to get from point A to point B in their classroom. But we did want to help minimize any sharing of materials and certainly any unnecessary travel throughout the classroom space. So they kind of have their own little office area is how we're describing it for them. There's a student, these students in cohort B and C will be assigned to this, they'll be assigned to the same desk or table. So they'll share a space. Of course, on Mondays and Tuesdays, the student who is in cohort B will be present, and then on Thursday, Friday, the student who is in cohort C will be sharing that same space. On Wednesday evening, all of the area gets sanitized before we switch cohorts.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about arrival and dismissal at school. So here at Floral Street School, for those of you who have been here before, parent drop-off is going to look very much the same, where you will come in by the basketball hoops, loop around, and drop your student off at the cones that are markers. Drop-off time continues to be from 8:30 to 9 o'clock each morning. Things that will be different this year during parent drop-off is we'll ask that everyone in the car has a mask on and that students have their masks on prior to getting out of the car. As students walk into the building, they'll physically distance and there'll be markers to help support them with that, as well as staff that will support them with that. As soon as they enter the building, they'll sanitize their hands, and every entryway has a hand sanitizing station, and we'll have an adult again there to support students with that process. And then we're going to be inviting students to walk directly to their classrooms, which is a little bit different. We know lots of students like to stop and say hello to last year's teacher and those types of things. But in order to kind of minimize the traffic in the hallway, we're asking all students to go directly to their classroom. And there's also a link enclosed here. So when you do have access to these slides, there's a link that you can use where you can see some videos of what this is going to look like. So we encourage you to watch those with your children so that they can get a feel for what it's going to look like when they come to school. Next slide, please, Mrs. McKeown.
Oh, I forgot I was
Quite all right.
you know, I do that. Oh my goodness. We all have our strengths, right? Okay.
So if your student is coming to school in the hybrid model and they're using the bus, it will look very similar again. Buses will drop students off in the front entrance of the building. We'll unload 1 to 2 buses at a time, and we'll kind of see how that goes in the beginning of the year and adjust as needed. Students will unload 1 seat at a time, and the bus drivers will help to direct that. So the students in the front of the bus will exit first. And then in this photo, you can see that there again are space markers to help students physically distance. There will be staff in the lobby to support students with this as well. And again, you can see the hand sanitizing station there in the front lobby for students who are coming in off the bus. Students will wear their masks on the bus, so when they enter the building, they'll already have their masks on. And again, we're going to ask students to go directly to their classrooms when they enter the building. You might be wondering, so what does arrival look like if I have a remote student? So arrival for remote students will be logging into their morning meeting Zoom at 9:15. Each remote class will have, remote learning class, the D cohort, will have a morning meeting with their classroom teacher at 9:15. And during that time, classroom teachers will be taking attendance. So it's going to be very important for you, even if you're in a remote model, to know that if your student is going to be absent from that class that day, or if they're not going to be in class on time, that you call the main office, because attendance will be taken just as if your child were live in school. So phone calls will go out and you'll get a message if you don't indicate that your child was not going to be in the Zoom meeting in the morning. So dismissal at Floral Street School. So one of the most important things that you can do to help your child, and all of us here at school have a really smooth dismissal, is to send a note in with your child on the first day of school that tells the classroom teacher the plan for your student's dismissal. So some parents like to do parent pickup on the first day. So if that's your plan for the first day, we'd ask that you indicate kind of the first day plan on your note, and then also indicate what your typical dismissal would be for your student. So students might be taking the bus home. If that's the case, buses will be dismissed 1 at a time. Again, seats will be assigned by the driver. Students will be sitting 1 per seat, except if they live in the same household, they'll share a seat. And then they'll be staggering as they get into the bus. If your student is going in parent pickup, it will look very similar as it has in the past, where you'll do the looping line, stop at the cones. Students this year will be lining up in the gym in between desks that are set up for lunches that will help us to support them in being physically distant while they're waiting for their dismissal. So one other way that students dismiss from Floral Street School is a walker. And we have 3 different walking paths. And this map is also linked in our Welcome to Floral book that you'll be able to see. So if you're not quite sure which path your student is taking, you'll be able to get a closer look at this when you take a look at the book. But when you send your note in on the first day and you indicate that your student is a walker, we ask that you also indicate if they'll be a rear path walker, if they will walk to Honeysuckle, or if they'll walk to Floral Street. And that helps us when we're organizing students at the end of the days to know which exit they're going to be going with and which staff member they'll be going with. And that's a really important piece to making sure that everybody gets to their correct location at the end of the day, especially that first day. Students will need to keep their masks on throughout their walking time with staff members. And again, we'll be promoting that physical distance as students are moving with staff members to their locations.
You get one more, Mrs. Kelly.
We do. So lunch this year, as Mr. Maybe shared a little bit about in our group presentation, lunch is going to look a little bit different for kids this year. These are 2 photos of what it looks like here at Floral Street School. Both the cafeteria and the gym are set up with individual desks. Students will go through the cafeteria lunch line if they're going to be getting a brown bag lunch, and then they'll make their way to their desk. They'll take off their masks and put them into a mask bag that we'll have available for them. They will eat their lunch. And then, as Mr. Maybe shared, staff members will go around with a trash barrel and a recycling bucket so that students can put their things into those containers.
And you know, this looks a little cold and sterile, right? So you just have to visualize that each of these seats is going to be filled with a happy,
Smiling, happy face.
yeah, happy, hungry student. And this does not mean silent lunch. We would never do that.
Yeah.
We expect them to chat. They have to eat, but we expect them to chat. They're not going to get to necessarily sit with their three BFFs around a circle table like they're used to. But we are encouraging them to chit chat with their classmate who's going to be assigned in the seats around them.
Just one more piece about lunch, because I noticed a couple of questions in the chat earlier. So as Mr. Maybe shared, everyone is going to have the opportunity to get a lunch for free. And so that's something that you'll want to work out with your child, so you know if they're coming to school and they're going to be coming home with a lunch on those first few days, because that will be an opportunity for them during the half days to take a lunch, a brown bag lunch, and take it home with them. But then again, through December 31st or until the funds run out, lunch will be provided and available to any student who wishes to have a school lunch.
Right. And Gina, we also talked about how one of the options will always be a non-meat option, right? So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, let's mourn the loss of the cookie because kids love to buy the cookie.
Yes.
And for right now, there is no a la carte. So that includes packing the 60 cents to buy the cookie. We're
So
hoping to bring
another
that back.
Right. And another important piece I think for parents to know is, like, typically students could buy a water or a milk at school. That will not be available either. So any of those a la carte items, things that, the students might have purchased just on their own, will not be available at this time this year.
So we still will offer water um, to all students, including ones who don't take a bag lunch and bring one from home. So one of the real kind of challenges was to think through how to have a physically distant recess. If you have ever been here during the midday and seen lunch recess on the blacktop, you would be thinking of us as we've been problem solving this. I want to give a great, huge thank you to our instructional aides. They are masterful at finding ways to be kind of living within these safety protocols and still having fun. So creds to them. Recess is going to happen on the blacktop as it always has. And it will be 15 minutes as it always has been. So what will be different is that we need to prevent students from like mingling with other cohorts, other classes. So the class will come out to the blacktop and they will be at one of 4 stations. Each station will be staffed with an adult. Um, at each station, the adult has planned a game or activity, and there are specified areas or spots where each student in the class will stand or sit, whatever the activity involves. They will be 10 feet apart from one another, and that's based on guidance from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, because we are expecting that they're going to be physically active during the activity, and so they need to be further than 6 feet apart because their masks will also be off. And to keep the fun fresh, the paras have come up with a rotation. So a class will play the activity for 2 days, and then they will rotate the next 2 days to the other station. So they'll rotate through all 4 stations. They're only going to be playing that activity 2 times, and then a month has gone by, and there will be new activities provided to them. So I think they're going to have fun. They won't they will be have an option to sit out of the game if it's just not their it's not, it doesn't suit their fancy. They'll be able to sit out of the game. We have painted spots. This picture here actually shows the painted spots for one of the stations, and they can decide they're just going to sit and maybe read a book or chill out and watch their class play the game, and that will be a choice they can make as well. We also have been thinking a lot about maximizing our beautiful campus and our grounds. We're really, really fortunate here at Floral Street School to have a ton of outdoor space that we can maximize and help just everyone to feel a little more comfortable having to wear that mask all day. So we've identified several spaces, again, with support from the instructional aides and also some teachers who served on the Outdoor Learning Space Committee this summer. So we appreciate them. Um, we are using outdoor spaces to provide mask breaks that classrooms can enjoy during the day. Other areas for active class recess where they can play games and be 10 feet or further apart. And some instructional spaces for classes to go out and have math class, reading, writing, um, art. This picture here shows one of two tents that the district has rented, and they're set up, I think, through the end of October, maybe into November.
November.
Is that right,
Yep.
Regina? At the end of November. These are both of them are in the back of the campus, near the paved map, we call it. And classrooms will be enjoying that. This one pictured here is also going to be used for physical education class on rainy days. So Amy Smith will be able to take her class outside, even if it's raining, and they can have some active movement because we know that PE class is a favorite. Okay. So you heard a little bit about bathrooms in the earlier presentation. We just wanted to show you a little bit about what it kind of looks like here at Floral. On the left-hand side, you'll see that first of all of the bathroom doors are going to be propped open so that students don't need to handle them. And so that makes for a great sight line to these three posters that you can see that just remind students to stop, to check and see what's the max number of people in this space, which is posted there. And then they can look and see, is it safe to go in or is it busy? And if it's busy because it's at capacity, then they go to a waiting spot. So on the right-hand side, you'll see those carpet dots on the carpet again. Those designate kind of the wait spots. There's two on the boys' side of the bathroom and two on the girls' side of the bathroom. There is a video that models what it looks like to approach the bathroom, read the sign, look to see if it's if she or he can go in, and what it looks like to go to a standing spot or a waiting spot if the bathroom is at capacity. That video is linked in the Welcome to Floral book. And we are going to try our best to also link it to these slides too, just so it's living in different places for you. And we encourage you to share that with your children as you're getting ready and excited about coming to school. That's of course for those who are coming to school. But hey, you never know what's going to happen. So all of you remote only students out there, you should be paying attention to this too, because you may return this year. And you'll know what to do. By the way, we're going to practice this. No one is expected to be expert at this, adults included. So the first couple of weeks, I mean, we are all about kind of how do we share this space together in a different way, and support each other with learning these new routines. So we're going to do a lot of teaching and reinforcing and really just praising our students as they're learning and developing their independence, because that means they are caring about others around them. They're doing their job to make sure everyone stays healthy, and that feels really good. That's the approach we're taking. This is not about fear for getting sick. This is about showing care for each other. All right. So next week, I know Mr. Maybe shared this, but I'm telling you, it's a lot to wrap your brain around. And so I just wanted to have it in another place for you. Next week is a short week. We start on Tuesday. So it looks a little different than a typical 5-day week. On Tuesday, our cohort B hybrid students are coming to school. They're also coming on Wednesday. On Thursday and Friday, those same students are going to do their remote learning plan at home. Our cohort C students will do the opposite. Their very first day of school this year is a remote day. They're going to get their learning plan from their teacher on Monday, and they're going to do it on Tuesday and Wednesday. They are coming to school this next Thursday and Friday. So their first day in school will be Thursday, those Cohort C friends. Our Cohort D students, your first day of school also is on Tuesday. You will be receiving your learning plan from your teacher with a schedule for when you'll be live with your teacher, so that families who are working, you'll have a sense of when your child is going to be live with a teacher and when they're going to be working on asynchronous work from their learning plan. Cohort D students, you are in school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, just like everyone else.
Lisa, I just wanted to add, so cohort A students, anyone who has a cohort A student, your student would come to school Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So following those cohort B and cohort C days for the half day next week.
Gina, let's add that into the slide before we post it too on the website. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yep.
So again, the teacher, your child's teacher will send out the remote learning plan on Monday. And just a reminder that school next week is, each day is a half day. It's early release. So we'll start dismissal at 12:15. And students will be able to take a bag lunch home with them if that's what you want them to do. So please do make sure that you give them that direction so they know whether or not to take a lunch.
So day one, what to pack. So in order to help set your child up for some success if they're coming into school, we're again going to remind you to please send them in with a note to their classroom teacher. You may get a different direction from the classroom teacher that asks you to share it in a different way. But in the end of the day, we need to make sure that we know how all students are going home. So we really appreciate your help with that, especially given that our first day this year, we have 2 first days and that they're half days. So we often spend some time at the beginning of those first days trying to figure out how kiddos are going home. So we really appreciate your support in sending a note that lets us know your student's dismissal plan. Reminding that your student should come to school with a mask on, and we're really recommending, if at all possible, that you send them with an extra mask in their backpack. We do have additional masks here that we will gladly give your student if they are in need of one. But in the case that one gets soiled, we want to make sure that we have some additional ones for them. Please send them in with some water, although the prediction for the forecast, my husband's been keeping me posted, seems to be really nice for next week, relatively cool considering the time of year, which I think will be a great start. We want you to please send them in with some water, and know that the water fountains will not be accessible this year for students. Students will be able to refill a water bottle at a sink in a classroom, but they won't be able to use and access the water fountains. Excuse me, please send your student in with a snack, because it is a half day and they're at home and like all of us, I'm sure, are used to just kind of grabbing a snack whenever they want. They've been at home for a long time. So that snack will be really important. So consider sending a snack that's going to kind of tidy them over till they get home after that half a day. Please send them in with their school supplies. So if they're coming into school and you purchase school supplies from home, please send them in. If you purchase school supplies from our PTO, know that they have been delivered and that they're in the students' classrooms. Speaking of school supplies, if you're a remote parent, we will be setting up times for remote families to come and pick up the bags that Lisa showed earlier, as well as school supplies that you may have ordered from school. So those WIN bags and the school supplies, we'll be setting up a time for you to come in and pick those up so that your student will have those available to them for the beginning of the year. And then, day one is going to look different. It's going to, we're going to have a day one on Tuesday, and we're going to have another day one on Thursday, and physically in the building for kids. And we're really excited to have them back with us, and we're hoping that they're feeling really excited to come back. So just, have them bring their excitement on the first day, and we hope that you will do the same. And then finally, kind of getting your kiddo ready to come to school. So if you haven't had an opportunity to look at the Welcome to Floral book yet, please do take some time to look through that. every classroom teacher, except for a couple who've been recently hired, have a video in there, and the rest will be getting added very shortly. But your child can take a look at their classroom teacher's photo. They can see a video from their classroom teacher kind of welcoming them with a little bit of a fun fact about the teacher. All of the allied arts teachers are in there, as well as instructional aides and child-specific aides. So it's just really a great resource to kind of see some familiar faces, or not familiar faces, but get to know some faces. We're going to ask you to work with us to build that really positive mask culture for our students. We're really looking at wearing a mask as a way to come together as a community, to make each other feel comfortable, and to just feel really good about and safe about being at school. We really don't want kids to see it, or teachers to see it, as a compliance task. We really want to build it as a community partnership where we're working together and having kids understand that this is how we take care of each other. And at Floral Street School, that's what we're all about. We work together, we take care of each other, and that's what we want students and families and staff to see a mask wearing all about. Have your kiddos practice hand washing, like really good hand washing at home. And there's a video that's linked here that you'll be able to take a look at, singing a song, just some different strategies to kind of help kiddos, really kind of wash their hands for the good amount of time that they need to in order to make sure that they're as germ-free as we can get them. And then finally, kind of easing back into those evening routines. We've been out of school for quite some time, so I'm sure, some bedtime routines are off, and just that structure that, will support kids in getting back into that routine would be really helpful as you kind of start thinking about upcoming Tuesday.
And finally, we just wanted to wrap up by showing you what one of the bulletin boards looks like in the hallway. First grade teacher Lynn Grossman put this up, and I just think it captures perfectly, actually, what we as a staff here are messaging to our students, and we want to be very clear that we're messaging to you about your students. We want them to walk into the school like any other year, whether they're walking into school remotely and by logging in, or physically walking in this building, that they belong here, that they are awesome, and that we believe in them. And that's whether they are hybrid or remote. It doesn't matter what their skin color is. It doesn't matter what language they're speaking at home or what cohort they're in. It doesn't matter if they're excited or anxious. Every one of them, our goal is going to walk into school or log into school next week and receive those messages by the words and the actions of the adults who come to this school and who are so excited and eager to have them back. I want to give a shout out to the Floral Street School faculty. They are amazing. They love your students, and they can't wait to do what they do best: build community and grow your kids and partner with you. So on behalf of Gina and I and everyone here at Floral, we want to thank you for your support and your patience and flexibility, because you have had to exercise it, I know. Thank you. We are going to make sure that you get this information, particularly because a lot of families weren't able to maybe log in at 12 o'clock. So we want them to have access to this. So just to remind you, we are going to work to get this on our website. So the recording of this webinar, the link to these slides, and the link to the Welcome to Floral book. And we are also going to be reaching out, you can be assured, with lots more information too via email. So stay tuned for more information. We're going to did you take a copy of the questions, Gina?
I'm going to. I was just going to say that. So I'll be taking a copy of the questions, and we'll be looking through them to see if we've answered them during the course of the webinar. And if not, then we will make sure that we're sharing out answers that we have the answers to through the Falcon Flyer or other means. So please rest assured, I know that there are lots and lots of questions in the question and answer section right now, but we do want to be respectful of everyone's time. So please know that we will be working to get you the answers to those questions, and I'm going to copy and paste them right now.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a wonderful weekend and stay healthy, stay happy. We're in this together.
Bye.